The global landscape of modern media has fundamentally transformed how we view the lives, secrets, and downfalls of those who inhabit the highest echelons of celebrity culture. For decades, the public was content with carefully curated images, glossy magazine spreads, and polished public relations statements that offered a controlled glimpse into the glamorous existence of Hollywood elites. However, the dawn of the hyper-connected digital era completely shattered this illusion, replacing the protective barrier of traditional stardom with a relentless 24-hour news cycle and an all-consuming social media apparatus. Today, the collective gaze of the internet does not merely observe from a distance. It actively dissects, scrutinizes, and converts real-world human tragedy and complex interpersonal conflicts into digestible digital content. This collective cultural shift has turned the collective audience into both jury and executioner, where private lives are laid bare for global consumption. And the line between genuine news reporting and algorithmic entertainment has become almost entirely erased. In this current day and age, no secret remains buried forever, and the archives of the digital world ensure that even the most painful, chaotic, and deeply personal chapters of human relationships are preserved for eternity, waiting to be re-examined through new perspectives and newly revealed testimonies that challenge what we thought we knew as we navigate this intricate web of modern information. Where truth is often obscured by sensationalism and the sheer volume of competing narratives, understanding the deeper context of these massive cultural events becomes more essential than ever before. It requires us to look beyond the surface level of trending topics and algorithms that prioritize outrage over nuance. To truly appreciate how these narratives evolve over time, how hidden connections gradually come to light, and how the ripples of past conflicts continue to shape the contemporary media landscape, it is vital to remain engaged with thorough, comprehensive storytelling. If you find value in exploring the deeper layers of these complex human dramas and want to stay updated as we peel back the layers of this fascinating historical archive, taking a quick moment to subscribe to this channel ensures you will never miss the upcoming chapters of this unfolding story. By joining our community of analytical viewers, you help us continue to piece together the larger picture, diving deep into the backstories, the forgotten testimonies, and the newly emerged revelations that redefine how we understand the most high-profile figures of our generation. Looking back just a few short years, the collective memory of the internet remembers a period that many would describe as one of the most exhausting, polarizing, and deeply distressing eras in modern digital history. The year 2022 served as a stark turning point, a time when it felt virtually impossible to open any social media application or news website without being instantly inundated by a torrential downpour of courtroom drama, bitter recriminations, and deeply unsettling allegations. The entire global community found itself completely captivated, and perhaps somewhat demoralized, by a legal battle of unprecedented proportions that seemed to eclipse all other cultural events. This was not merely a standard legal dispute between two individuals, it was an ideological battleground played out in the court of public opinion, where millions of spectators felt compelled to choose sides, dissecting every facial expression, every audio snippet, and every tearful testimony. The atmosphere of the internet during this time frame became toxic and heavily fragmented as the grim realities of domestic turmoil were transformed into a spectator sport, creating a cultural phenomenon that many wished to forget, yet nobody could truly look away from, leaving a lasting scar on how the media handles the delicate intersection of private suffering and public entertainment. At the absolute epicenter of this monumental media storm was a legal warfare that had been brewing for several years, originating from a brief but incredibly impactful piece of writing that set off a catastrophic chain reaction. The roots of this public unraveling trace back to the late 2010s, when a short op-ed published in a major American newspaper sparked a fierce debate about the nature of public figures, accountability, and the consequences of speaking out in a society undergoing a massive cultural reckoning. Though the article itself was brief and carefully avoided explicit mentions of specific names, its subtext was treated as an undeniable declaration, leading to a multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuit that would cross international borders and span multiple legal jurisdictions. Long before the cameras began rolling in an American courtroom, the initial skirmishes of this battle had already played out in the solemn, traditional courtrooms of the United Kingdom, where the high-stakes legal system delivered a devastating blow that many assumed would be the final word on the matter. Yet, rather than concluding the narrative. That initial European trial only served as a prelude to a far more aggressive, highly publicized American legal confrontation that would leverage the unique transparency of state laws to broadcast every intimate, agonizing detail of a broken marriage directly into the living rooms of billions of people worldwide. As the litigation moved across the Atlantic to Virginia, the stage was set for an unprecedented level of public access, transforming a deeply painful personal dispute into a global live-streamed event that shattered viewership records. This absolute transparency created an entirely new paradigm of media consumption, where the traditional boundaries of courtroom decorum were completely overwhelmed by the chaotic forces of internet culture. The testimonies were no longer just legal evidence, they became raw material for an army of digital content creators who edited, repurposed, and reframed the most distressing accounts of emotional and physical violence into brief, algorithmic video clips designed for maximum engagement and viral reach. This unprecedented phenomenon effectively turned a serious legal proceeding into a digital circus where the gravity of the allegations was frequently overshadowed by public ridicule, dark humor, and an insatiable thirst for sensational entertainment. However, beneath the loud, chaotic surface of this global spectacle, a complex web of secondary relationships, unspoken tensions, and hidden alliances was quietly simmering just outside the direct view of the courtroom cameras. While the main focus remained fixed on the two central figures trapped in this legal deadlock, rumors and legal depositions began to hint at the involvement of other prominent global figures, setting the stage for future revelations that would, years later, re-emerge to add entirely new dimensions to an already labyrinthine story of fame, jealousy, and broken trust. The unfolding of this unprecedented legal saga reached its peak within the heavily monitored confines of the Virginia courthouse, where a jury composed of 5 men and 2 women was tasked with sorting through hundreds of hours of conflicting testimonies, audio recordings, and expert analyses. The environment inside and outside the courtroom was charged with an intensity rarely seen in modern jurisprudence, as crowds of devoted supporters gathered daily, hoping to catch a fleeting glimpse of the high-profile individuals whose lives had become public property. This 6-week trial was a grueling exercise in emotional endurance, forcing the participants to recount the most intimate, embarrassing, and deeply painful moments of their shared past under the unwavering glare of broadcast cameras. As the weeks dragged on, the initial fascination of the global audience evolved into a deeply entrenched polarization, with digital factions solidifying their narratives across every major online platform. The verdict, when it finally arrived, delivered a decisive and legally staggering blow, ruling overwhelmingly in favor of the iconic actor. The jury found the text of the newspaper article to be defamatory across 3 separate counts, ultimately ordering the actress to pay a massive sum of $15 million, divided into $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages, a financial penalty that underscored the severity with which the legal system viewed the reputational damage inflicted. Yet, as the main legal battle concluded and the dust began to settle on this historic confrontation, the true complexity of the social circle surrounding these individuals began to surface, revealing a web of interconnected relationships that extended far beyond the immediate parties involved. Among the many names that floated through the peripheral documentation, depositions, and pretrial rumors, none captured the public imagination quite like that of the prominent British fashion model Cara Delevingne. Though she was never officially called to stand before the court as a witness, and her name was never explicitly written into the formal legal complaints of either the United Kingdom libel trial or the subsequent Virginia defamation case, her presence loomed large in the background narratives constructed by legal teams and close associates. The high-fashion icon, known globally for her rebellious spirit and prominent status within the international elite, found herself unexpectedly dragged into the epicenter of the marital drama through a series of explosive allegations regarding the private life and personal relationships of the actress during the timeline of her marriage. The entry of this new narrative thread into the public record occurred during a highly sensitive pre-trial deposition, a legal procedure where witnesses are questioned under oath ahead of the actual courtroom proceedings. It was here that Josh Drew, the former husband of one of the actress's closest personal friends, delivered testimony that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and social media networks alike. Under intense questioning from legal representatives, Drew stated on the record that he believed a romantic affair had blossomed between the actress and the British model, while the marriage to the Hollywood star was still legally active. Even more sensational was his further claim that this relationship had expanded to include the world-famous billionaire entrepreneur and technology mogul Elon Musk. According to the deposition transcripts, Drew alleged that a private encounter involving all three prominent individuals had taken place within the luxurious confines of the actor's penthouse apartment located in downtown Los Angeles. This startling revelation immediately added a layer of extreme intrigue and complexity to an already convoluted story, painting a picture of an incredibly chaotic and untraditional domestic environment. However, the legal weight of these specific assertions was instantly challenged by the fact that the witness openly admitted he had not personally seen or witnessed any of these events with his own eyes. Instead, his testimony was entirely founded upon conversations and information that had been relayed to him by his then-wife, making the claims a matter of second-hand information rather than direct, undeniable proof. Despite the lack of primary visual evidence, the mere mention of a global tech billionaire and an international supermodel interacting in such an intimate capacity within the actor's private residence was more than enough to ignite a wildfire of speculation across the digital landscape. With media outlets rushing to verify timelines and dissect the social movements of everyone involved, the timeline of these alleged interactions quickly became the subject of intense chronological debate among legal analysts and tabloid journalists, trying to piece together the truth. It was a well-documented and publicly acknowledged fact that the actress and Elon Musk had indeed engaged in a high-profile romantic relationship that lasted for approximately 1 full year, stretching across the months of 2017 and 2018. Crucially, this romantic involvement occurred in the immediate wake of the actress's highly publicized and incredibly bitter separation from her husband, providing a legitimate context for their closeness during that specific era. In response to the explosive deposition claims that threatened to tarnish reputations across multiple industries, the technology billionaire chose to break his silence and issue a direct, public denial regarding the nature of his relationship with the British fashion icon. Musk stated clearly and unequivocally at the time that while he and the model shared a genuine bond of friendship, they had never crossed the boundary into physical intimacy, explicitly refuting the idea that they had ever spent a night together or engaged in the rumored multi-person encounter at the Los Angeles penthouse. For years, these denials stood as the official narrative, and the public was left to wonder whether the shocking claims made during the pre-trial depositions were merely the product of malicious gossip, exaggerated rumors, or strategic legal maneuvers designed to discredit the actress ahead of her courtroom appearance. The supermodel herself chose to remain entirely silent during the height of the 2022 media circus, completely avoiding any public statements, interviews, or social media commentary that could tie her to the ongoing toxicity of the defamation trial. This deliberate silence allowed her to protect her career and distance herself from the relentless public scrutiny that was currently destroying the public standing of those directly involved in the lawsuit. The world moved on, the trial concluded, and the sensational rumors regarding the Los Angeles penthouse were largely relegated to the archives of internet pop culture trivia, seemingly destined to remain unanswered questions from a dark and incredibly messy chapter of Hollywood history. However, the passage of time has a unique way of altering perspectives, lowering defenses, and creating the necessary space for individuals to finally speak their truth away from the immediate threat of legal retaliation or overwhelming public backlash. Fast forwarding to the present year of 2026, the silence that had surrounded these background relationships for nearly 4 long years has finally been broken in a truly dramatic fashion. In a sudden turn of events that has reignited global interest in the interpersonal dynamics of this famous social circle, the British supermodel has decided to step forward and address the long-standing rumors head-on. Through a deeply personal and incredibly candid media appearance, she has finally provided the definitive clarification that the public has been waiting for, offering an authentic insider's look into what truly transpired behind closed doors during one of the most scrutinized eras of modern celebrity culture. This newfound willingness to speak openly marks a significant shift in the narrative, transforming what was once dismissed as unverified courtroom hearsay into a matter of confirmed history, while simultaneously adding fresh layers of emotional tension to a story that the world thought had already reached its absolute conclusion. The long-awaited moment of clarity arrived during a highly anticipated episode of the globally renowned Louis Theroux Podcast, where the British supermodel and actress chose to sit down for an incredibly frank conversation that would permanently alter the public understanding of this historical timeline. As a host celebrated for his uniquely calm, disarming, and deeply inquisitive interviewing style, Louis Theroux did not shy away from the elephant in the room. Directly addressing the lingering ghost of the 2022 legal battles by asking whether they were going to openly discuss the situation surrounding the Hollywood actor. Displaying a remarkably calm and collected demeanor, the model responded with a sense of quiet confidence, asking exactly which aspect of that multi-layered controversy he wished to explore. The veteran journalist then pivoted to a central point of tension that had long been rumored to have fueled intense domestic conflict behind closed doors, stating that the iconic actor had reportedly been driven to absolute madness by the haunting suspicion that his then-wife was engaged in a secret romantic liaison with the British star. Faced with this direct assertion, the supermodel carefully began to untangle the complicated reality of that specific period, explaining the psychological and professional context that had bred such intense friction. She pointed out that the roots of this suspicion were grounded in a professional collaboration, as both she and the actress had been cast to work alongside each other on the cinematic adaptation of the psychological thriller film titled London Fields. Complicating matters further, the Hollywood actor himself was also involved in the exact same film production, creating a highly charged, claustrophobic environment where personal anxieties and professional boundaries quickly became blurred. The model openly acknowledged that the actor appeared to be profoundly consumed by an overwhelming sense of romantic jealousy during that filming process, but she firmly maintained a crucial chronological distinction. She asserted with absolute certainty that absolutely nothing of a romantic or physical nature was occurring between the two women at that specific point in time, declaring that the suspicious allegations of infidelity during the actual marriage were entirely unfounded. However, the interview took a fascinating and highly revelatory turn when the discussion shifted to the chaotic period immediately following the collapse of the marriage. When pressed by the host regarding her specific choice of words, the model explicitly confirmed that a romantic relationship did eventually manifest, removing any lingering doubt by stating that she did not merely assume it happened, but that she knew it to be an absolute fact. When the host sought to define this dynamic using the contemporary cultural term of an entanglement, a word famously popularized in recent years to describe complex, non-traditional romantic encounters, the model initially questioned the underlying meaning and potential negative connotations of the word. After the journalist clarified that the term generally signifies a relatively brief liaison or a series of intense physical encounters between individuals, the model fully agreed with the description, revealing that they had been incredibly close for an extended period, and that during the messy, emotionally turbulent divorce proceedings, their lives and emotions had indeed become deeply entangled. Crucially, this newfound transparency shed unprecedented light on the broader social dynamics of that era, as the model further volunteered the information that their relationship was never a traditional, exclusive partnership. She openly shared that the actress was simultaneously entangled with other individuals during that identical time frame, a statement that immediately prompted the interviewer to suggest the identity of the other prominent figure involved. Pointing directly toward the world-famous technology billionaire Elon Musk. Without a single moment of hesitation or evasion, the model validated the host's deduction, effectively cementing the reality of those overlapping, highly complex relationships that had previously been the subject of so much intense public denial and legal speculation. This candid admission served as a powerful missing puzzle piece, illustrating how a group of some of the most influential and recognizable people on the planet had found themselves caught in a chaotic web of affection, jealousy, and emotional rebound during one of the most publicly scrutinized divorces in modern Hollywood history. Beyond the sensational revelations concerning her past relationships, the wide-ranging podcast interview provided a rare, deeply moving window into the supermodel's current mindset, her profound personal evolution, and her ultimate aspirations for the future. Moving completely away from the topics of past drama and tabloid headlines, she took the opportunity to firmly shut down persistent public speculation that she identifies as polyamorous, clarifying her true desires regarding love, commitment, and family. She revealed that she harbors a deep, profound yearning to establish a family of her own, expressing that she wants to experience motherhood incredibly badly. With a level of emotional maturity that resonated deeply with listeners, she emphasized that she possesses no desire to bring children into the world as a superficial mechanism to fix existing problems or fill internal voids. Instead, she views the prospect of parenting as a profoundly transformative and healing journey, a way to extend love to a new generation while simultaneously comforting and healing the vulnerable. Traumatized parts of her own inner child that still struggles to find sympathy for the difficult experiences of her youth. This reflection on her early life and the emotional hurdles she faced naturally transitioned into a poignant discussion about the immense systemic challenges she encountered while navigating the treacherous waters of the global entertainment industry as a young, vulnerable professional. She touched upon a dark, pivotal moment from her early career when the disgraced and notorious Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein explicitly delivered a chilling ultimatum, telling her in no uncertain terms that she would absolutely never find success or longevity in the highly competitive film industry if the public or industry executives ever discovered that she was romantically attracted to women. This oppressive atmosphere of fear and forced concealment, which she had previously opened up about during an emotional appearance on the popular Call Her Daddy podcast, highlighted the profound bravery required to survive and eventually thrive in an environment designed to suppress authenticity. By revisiting these painful memories from the perspective of her current maturity, the model demonstrated just how far she has traveled on her personal journey of self-acceptance and healing. This incredibly profound, revelatory, and deeply intimate conversation, which has permanently reshaped the narrative surrounding some of the biggest pop culture events of the decade, is currently accessible to audiences worldwide through the Louis Theroux Podcast, which is readily available for streaming on Spotify as well as on all major audio distribution platforms where individuals regularly consume their podcasts. Ultimately, the story of these interconnected lives serves as a powerful lingering reminder of the sheer human complexity that exists beneath the superficial, often distorted veneer of celebrity gossip and global media spectacles. It underscores the profound truth that behind every viral social media trend, every sensationalized courtroom headline, and every bitter public dispute, there are real human beings navigating the intricate, painful, and often chaotic realities of love, heartbreak, and personal growth, searching for their own path toward healing and authenticity under the unyielding, unforgiving gaze of a permanently connected world.